Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for joining me. So today I have something quite a bit different for you than what I usually do. I'm usually on here doing hauls and like new product reviews and telling you about how much I love this and that product. And today I thought I would kind of turn it around and do more of an anti-haul video. So this is going to be about the products that I'm not going to buy, with a few products that I do want to try. I'm mostly focusing on very hyped up products or just products that have recently released or will be released in the near future. So I will go ahead and just get started with that after I do my little disclaimer. Me talking about the things I'm not going to purchase totally does not mean I think that it's wrong to purchase these items or that you shouldn't purchase them or that they're bad products or anything like that. I just purchase a lot of makeup, and sometimes I need to talk myself down because I can't buy everything. I have a ton of makeup. I will insert a video here to kind of show you my collection, or maybe a picture or something. But you know, I have so much stuff and I love the stuff that I have, but there are certainly things that I liked for a while and then I stopped using because I just have so much stuff and I can't use everything in my collection. So to add more to that is, you know, something that I'm going to continue to do, but also I have to just really be more kind of thoughtful, I guess, about the things that I do purchase and add to my collection, because I do have to kind of cycle through stuff. And you know, I just feel kind of very often like bombarded by social media with like, oh, you have to try this new product, you have to try this new product, and you get this new palette that you're like loving, and a couple weeks later the same brand comes out with something new. You know, it seems like it's just like constant marketing, and you have to have this and everything. And so I want to kind of just try something new. This doesn't mean that I'm going to stop buying products, I'm going to stop reviewing products, I'm going to stop doing hauls. I will continue to do all that because I love makeup. That's what I love to spend my money on. So, you know, I will continue to do that, but there are just some things that I've noticed I've actually been like wanting because of the hype. And then when I sit back and look at it, I'm like, you know, I don't really think that I would actually use that. So I just thought that this would be a fun video to make. So let's just go ahead and get started. I'm going to begin with the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. When I first heard about this before it launched, you know, they had quite a lot of hype building up before the launch. Just with the fact that it was a Too Faced bar that looked similar to the chocolate palettes and it smelled like peaches, which of course was extremely exciting for someone like me who loves makeup that smells sweet. So mainly for that reason I wanted the peach palette. It was sold out by the time I went, you know, I wanted to purchase it. And then I started seeing reviews and I'm going, you know what, I feel like this is just another neutral palette with a couple of really cool, like lighter peachier shades. So there were maybe 2 or 3 shades in this palette that I actually think I would have used a lot. And the rest of them, I don't know, like I just felt like it would be kind of like my chocolate bar palette. The original chocolate bar palette, which I know is like a cult favorite, but I never use this palette. I just feel like the colors are too dark, and I feel like the peach palette is kind of similar in tone to this, like just a very warm neutral brown color. So I was able to talk myself out of that and decide I'm not going to buy that. Of course, it's sold out now, but they are re-releasing it. So that's why I wanted to mention it here. Also, of course, it is a very hyped product. I would say probably the most hyped product this year. Next thing that I'm not going to purchase is the Tarte Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen collaboration. Now, again, I'm not saying anything against Tarte or anything against Graveyard Girl Bunny. I think that she's great. I love her channel. But this is another neutral Tarte palette. And let me insert a photo here of all of my neutral Tarte palettes, and you will see how much I don't need another one. There are a couple shades in here that are intriguing to me, but honestly, I can probably dupe them in my collection of Tarte, if not, you know, in my whole makeup collection. So it's certainly something that I probably wouldn't use very much. I am very intrigued by the highlighter in this palette, but other than, you know, that's not a good enough reason to buy a palette. It's because of like one highlighter within the palette. I can just buy a single highlighter, you know. So I am not going to buy the Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen palette. Next palette I'm not going to buy is the new Tarte Young, Wild, and Free palette. I bought both of the Double Duty Beauty palettes. You know, I love those palettes, and they're good neutral. You have one warm neutral and one cool neutral. I don't need another neutral palette, and I feel like this is just kind of a smaller version of the Tartelette and Bloom palette, which I also have and love, so I don't really need this Young, Wild, and Free palette. So I'm not going to buy it. Next thing I'm not going to buy is the Too Faced Totally Cute palette. This is pretty cute. I mean, I will admit you get to put stickers on the packaging, and I think that is really cool. So everybody will have like a unique outer packaging on their palette. You could even do, you know, your own stickers that don't come with the palette. So I think that's a cute idea. It's nice and colorful, and there are some unique shades in there. But I have the Sugar Pop palette. And I recently purchased the Ciate London Fun palette. I have the Urban Decay Alice Through the Looking Glass palette. I've got some good, fun pops of color in my collection already. I don't need another one. So I'm not going to buy the Totally Cute palette. Next thing I'm not going to buy is this upcoming Moondust palette from Urban Decay. It's going to be $50. You get 8 shadows, and honestly, they're all Moondust shadows, so they're very glimmery, very glittery, shimmery. I expect them to have fallout. Those are not my favorite shades from Urban Decay. They are beautiful when you swatch them, but they can be gritty and make a mess everywhere. And you know, maybe when I was like 20 in college, I would have really liked a palette like this. But now I just don't think that it's very functional for the kind of makeup that I like to wear, which is more neutral, more natural, with some pops of color. So I am not going to buy the Moondust palette. Next thing I'm not going to buy is the Lorac Pro 3 palette. I actually don't have any of the Lorac Pro palettes because I have neutral palettes from Too Faced. I have neutral palettes from Tarte. I have neutral palettes from Urban Decay. I don't need more neutral palettes. So, and this is what that is. Also, I only purchase cruelty-free brands. I believe that Lorac is a cruelty-free brand, but there is some argument, I guess, about that. So it's kind of a gray area brand. So better to be safe and just not purchase it anyway. But again, the color selection just doesn't really get me extremely excited. So I'm not going to be purchasing the Lorac Pro 3 palette. So next thing I'm not going to be purchasing is the Too Faced Better Than Sex Waterproof Mascara. You know, this mascara, you know, people have raved about this mascara. They rave about the original. I don't like the original. I think that it is kind of clumpy. It flakes off. So I'm not a huge fan of that particular mascara, and I don't like waterproof mascara, so I imagine I would like the waterproof version even less than the original. So I'm definitely not going to be purchasing that. So those are all of the things that I'm not going to be purchasing. Now, a couple things that I do want to try that are hyped up and I do want to talk about that I do want to try are, the first one is the Anastasia Renaissance palette. This is, I think, a very unique, not unique because a lot of palettes are coming out like this, but of all the palettes that are coming out like this, I want the Anastasia one. I want the Anastasia one because I actually have the Anastasia Self-Made palette. This is what the Self-Made palette looks like, and this is actually one of my very favorite palettes. It's a really great mix of neutrals with a couple pops of color. There's just a good mix in here, and I have not seen the Anastasia, the new palette, the Renaissance palette, in stores yet, so I do kind of want to swatch that and actually see it in person before I go ahead and order it, because I'm not sure if I do actually want that palette. It is very hyped up, but I think Anastasia is always worth the hype. I have never bought anything from that brand that was a disappointment to me. I've never had to return anything from Anastasia Beverly Hills. So I am excited for that palette. I am also excited for probably the second most hyped product of the year, which would be the the Becca Cosmetics Jaclyn Hill collaboration face palette. I think that this is beautiful, and I really haven't tried a lot of the Becca highlighters. I've never tried the blushes, and the Rose Spritz shade really speaks to me. Also, I've always wanted to try Champagne Pop, so I thought that this would be a good way to do it. So I am going to be picking that up in the near future, and I will do a review of like whether it's worth it or not, you know, after I've played around with it a bit. So those are all of the things that I'm not going to buy and that I'm dying to try. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what kinds of things you're not going to buy, what you're dying to try. Maybe if I talked about something that you did buy and you love, go ahead and let me know. Again, there's no judgment. This is just my personal preference of things that I'm not going to buy because, you know, I personally don't need them and don't think that I'm going to use them. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.